Hello everybody and welcome to the first edition of Nickelodeon All-Star News. And this is going to be covering a ton of juicy stuff like the all-new Zuko drop that's happening tomorrow, the discussion that we had about should TOs have supported NASB1 when NASB2 released, the discussion on NASB2 having a Arcadian with 40 entrants, Combo Breaker and the situation for NASB2 at that event, and when the next PR Power Rankings drops for Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2. So getting right into the nitty-gritty of it, Zuko, they showed off his Spotlight trailer voiced by the lovely Tafar. And of course, it was pretty neat just seeing the character move around and just actually seeing them for real. The only things we've seen up until now was that one launch picture that was shown, and you actually can see in the game right now, it's in like the gallery, and it pretty much just showed all 4 of the DLC in a standstill doing one of their moves. And so far, the community thinks Zuko, first impression wise, is really cool. I think that everybody's super stoked to just see a character that's a stance character that also has a throwable item that can be used to potentially combo. The ideas are limitless right now for this character. And with the stance shifting, as well as just the general skill floor that this character is going to have in terms of just getting used to everything, as well as some pretty surface level swag with the awesome Falcon Punch move for his neutral special. It's going to be a good time. Will you be able to hit with that move? I don't know. It's really slow, and the EX version is no faster. So as cool as it is, we're going to be waiting to see with Slime if any combos into that are even possible. I do think his recovery is a little lackluster, but you never know. I think that stuff like his strong up air and the EX up special are going to be things that actually help him in terms of recovery, but we'll just have to see. At first, people thought Mr. Krabs had a really good recovery, and now that tether recoveries have been pretty understood, people have gotten a lot better at edge guarding those types of characters. So he went from having a broken recovery to now just being considered like pretty okay. But that was pretty awesome. Generally, it's really cool to see a character that pops in, people just think is really hype. And I think for a lot of good reasons. Being able to have a sword that you also can do combos with, that also is throwable, so that makes this character not only a sword character and just an avatar character, which a ton of fans really wanted more characters from that series. It also makes this character just one that people have a lot of fun with in various ways. Like, he's not just a character for this type of player. He's not just a character for this type of player. We're seeing a lot of zoner mains find this character interesting because the idea of doing setups with that sword, throwing it with the setups being the idea, that's kind of really cool. You have a lot of brawlers who are just excited to play another avatar character and get up close with that sword and do some combos with it, as well as some of the other moves that Zuko has in his utility belt. You have the avatar fans who they'll literally play any type of style as long as it's an avatar character, and you know when those people are happy, a lot of people are generally happy. So overall, I think that this character is a tremendous W in the way that he plays, and both his animations, the way he looks, the skins are really cool, just the different aesthetics with the hair and the bald, you know. Like, I think that this is just a character done right and more so. So shout out to the Nick Brawl devs on this one. You guys are great. This discussion happened fairly quickly after the drop of Zuko within the past couple days. And pretty much what this was the idea that when NASB2 dropped, TOs, meaning tournament organizers, who they're just volunteers who pretty much run the tournaments on competitive Nick Brawl, they all kind of swapped to Nick Brawl 2, of course, because that was just the new big thing. Everybody, including myself, had decided, you know what, let's switch over. And there were a couple events here or there that were for NASB1, but within the last 5 months or so since NASB2 has dropped, there pretty much has been a maximum of, say, one NASB1 weekly that was consistent. Other than that, it was usually one-offs with like So Long Sizzly or other online events that NASB1 had at their disposal. But due to this, there was an insane player drop-off in terms of tournament entrance and just on quick play in the United States, which is really unfortunate because before then there was a lot of momentum with the game, with weeklies often getting between 15 to 20 people tops. And on a weekly basis, when they had 5 weeklies every day of the week, that was pretty awesome. But unfortunately, as time went on, I'm sure a lot of people just moved on to other things, and the discussion became not only about how that stunk, but just what responsibility did the TOs have in that being the case. And it kind of just ended up being, well, everybody just kind of moved on. That was the end of it. And it really isn't necessarily fair to say it was any one TO or all the TOs' faults for just choosing to play Nick Brawl. Everybody moved on from NASB1 to NASB2, and that was about it. So let me know your thoughts. Should the TOs have had more emphasis on both games rather than just one, or was it fine or okay even to just focus on the new sequel and just give your energy towards that? Let me know. NASB Jr. 8, the Arcadian series for NASB, is reached 40 entrants, and as of when this video goes live, the public ban list will also be live. There will be some changes still to that, as people maybe enter who are forgotten about but should be banned. And obviously it's not just the top 50 or top 100 that gets banned, it's a mix of even more people within the next PR and just other players as well. So there's just a ton of stuff going on right now in the NASB scene as I'm getting through all these announcements and news. But NASB Jr. has 40 entrants. If you aren't aware what NASB Jr. is, it's a NASB2 Arcadian for beginner players. So an Arcadian is an event where all the power ranked and ranked players are banned. And normally there's like a region that is specifically banned people, but this, since it's a worldwide game, has banned anyone who's ranked in the entire world of the top 50, top 100, and potential Season 2 PR'd players as well. So there's a lot of people banned, but there's still 40 entrants in a beginner bracket, almost 6 months into NASB2, which is really cool to see. Prize pool's $50, the winner is the only one that gets that prize, and it's going to be a lot of fun to just welcome in all of these new faces to Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 tournaments for the first time. So shout outs to you guys are the best. Next up on the list, I found out recently that I will be one of the TOs/referees for Combo Breaker. That's right, originally I thought I wasn't going to be a TO, but instead I will be in fact helping out with the event as well. And to start off, I already did a really big thing of figuring out what to theoretically do, at least, for the controller situation for GameCube controllers at Combo Breaker. While for other events and controllers, it's easy to just grab one of the provided adapters and switch it. But just because GameCube controllers are a bit finicky, you have a lot of situations where it's impossible for you to actually use a GameCube adapter on a PS5, which is unfortunately the console that Nick Brawl will be played on, at least as of now. That is subject to change if somehow there's PCs available, but they've told me that this likely will not be the case. However, if you do have a GameCube controller, I have discovered, in theory, because I don't own a PlayStation 5, that using the lossless GameCube controller adapter or the GameCube Pocket adapter, you actually can switch the input recognition so that it tricks the GameCube controller into being read on the PlayStation as an X input controller, which means it's being thought of as an Xbox controller. And what you can do from here is then you can grab one of the provided Wingman FGC Brooks adapters, plug that in to your lossless GameCube controller adapter's USB port, and then finally plug that whole thing into the PlayStation 5, and it should register as a working controller on Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 for the PS5. So that's really cool. Before this week, I was just under the assumption that it was impossible for you to be able to make this possible. I just figured, well, I have to give up and I'll have to buy a PlayStation controller But in theory, based on how the Brook Wingman controller works and the lossless controller adapter works, when combined, they should allow a fix. While this isn't proven, and there's no documentation, we'll be able to figure out for sure if this is the case at the event. But let me know what your thought on that are. Finally, like I had alluded to a couple times now, there is a second power ranking coming for the Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 game. When that will be, the final PR event for the season that we are currently in, which is the second season, will be the Combo Breaker Major that I was just talking about. So it's the last one that will count. Between now and then, you have a ton of weekly events, Dutchman's Dungeon 8, Frosty Freezy Fridays, and more. They're all going to be up for the next couple weeks until the end of May. May 28th is the date of the third PR actually, and then you'll be able to start competing again. And then after that PR ends, the second one, sometime between the end of the second and the third, we will get a rankings list with some graphics, and it'll be a really cool time to see who is considered the best in the world for Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2. So yeah, let me know what you thought. Who are the best players of NASB2? But yeah, that's going to do it for this one. This was a pretty juicy video, and it's a new format for me. I have not really done like a news drop-off like this, but I figured instead of trying to fluff out a bunch of videos, I can just do one discussion video just talking about everything that's going on in the NASB scene right now, and I think I might do this again. I think it's a pretty fun idea to just bring everything under one umbrella for videos like this, rather than just making it longer than it needs to be. I can just talk about everything as much as I want in one single video. So, I'll see you next time for another news bit, probably next week, but if not, that's okay too. And make sure to check me out tomorrow for my live stream of Zuko when he drops, because that's going to be super exciting. It'll be later in the day, probably around 4 p.m. Central Time, but I will see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching.